Hey everybody, we're actually not too far from Daytona International Speedway, probably a good 30 minutes away at Gemini Springs Park,
Hmm.
somewhere close to us. But we're here to talk about Welcome to Rockville. We had a bunch of folks hitting up the video that we did when they announced the lineup a few
Hmm.
months back, and then asking us to do like a refresh on that video. And I feel like we've done so many different videos on Rockville over the years that we must have like 20 videos out there, both from the site itself and wrap up and previews and things like that. But we thought we'd cover off on a couple of quick things. Hopefully, not make this like a 30-minute video for you guys, and we'll see how badly we fail with that. But a couple of things that I wanted to cover off on. One thing for sure is for everyone that's going, we're just a week away. This is excitement abounds, but there's so many questions that we see that are repeated over and over again on the Welcome to Rockville fan groups, the Rockville Insights, the campsites, the everything and anything sites where people ask the same questions over and over and over again. I can't answer every last question that folks are teeing up, even on the old video or on this video, so I just want to get that out of the way. 99.9% of the questions that everyone asks, the answers are on the Rockville website in the FAQ document. So you really just need to go out and do a little bit of research, and even in the fan groups on Facebook,
Hmm.
there's a little magnifying glass at the top side of the website or that
Type in your
Facebook
keyword.
page, and
Yeah.
look and see, like, can I get in with a fanny pack that's bigger than what it's supposed to be? Can I bring in a hydro pack? Can I bring more than one case of beer if I'm camping? Can I do all of those questions are answered already on the FAQ page. So without further ado, folks are asking, what are we most looking forward to at this year's Rockville? So I'd say, like, what's the biggest or band, and you can't do this off the top of your head, then there's a problem. One biggest band.
The one biggest band, of course, it's Slipknot that I always love. I know they've been repeated many times, but I love them.
The biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is seeing Insane Clown Posse, and I'm really disappointed that they're on the smaller stage that's off to the left of
Oh yeah, the tiny
one of the
stage.
main stages. That's without a doubt the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. There's bands every day that I want to see.
Hmm.
The one thing that I do want to say though, as we touch on bands that everybody wants to see, because everyone's posted, like, what are they looking forward to and what bands do they want to see. We normally, like, when we do our videos, you'd see, like, we jump from stage to stage in the past, and
Hmm.
kind of split time between sets and stuff. I think the one thing that you would probably be most or should most expect at this year's Rockville in 2024
Hmm.
is that the crowd is probably going to be double the size of what it's been in years past. So we started years ago in Jacksonville when it was very small, and it
Two
was
days.
1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and so on. And the crowd, we had like maybe 10,000 people if you were lucky, and there would be like a couple thousand people, like Hard Rock Live type of audience sizes that were around some of the stages. And this year, and especially over the last 2 years since they've moved to Daytona International, that
It's just
crowd has really
grown.
swelled. And this year in particular, with Foo Fighters playing and the lineup that they have, 150 bands playing,
Hmm.
this is the first year that they've sold out of camping on site. It's the first year that they've blown through the passes the way that they've done for the different
Yeah.
days. VIP is non-existent and so on. Like, there's going to be more people there this year than I think anybody has ever expected. So I expect that it's going to be much more difficult to be able to split time and go from different stages. So what my advice would be is to choose like 3 to 5 bands, not at the same time throughout the day. Like, if you were making a school schedule or something and figuring, like, these are the things that I want to see, and I don't want to miss those particular things. There's a wish list, because I know Mary's bursting at the seams here to say, like, I have all these different
I'm
overlapping
gonna be
things.
like running
But
across.
I just don't see that happening. I don't see the capability of being able to move freely. And I think the same goes, like, if you're planning meals, the
Oh
lines for
yeah.
some of those food vendors are
Mm-mm.
tremendous most of the time to begin with. So you're going to be waiting like 40 minutes for an $18 slice of pizza,
Yeah.
So plan ahead and just
Yeah.
think, what do I need to see? I mean,
Early on, the meals are better lines, but once you start getting into the 4 or 5 o'clock time frame, it's almost impossible to get anything.
yeah. But more importantly, bands that you're looking to see. Don't think that when the band starts, like, everybody has in their head, like, I'm going to go see Foo Fighters and I'm going to see them so clear. Like, I think you're going to be like 2 to 3 football fields away and Dave Grohl's going to be a tiny speck, unless you're at that stage from the moment that the camp or from the moment that that show opens for the day.
That's why I like watching it on the screens.
Yeah. So, and this year there's plenty of bands that are going to be playing the same time, like dual headlining stages and so forth too. Like, I think on one day, Kerry King is playing the same time as Disturbed, which is like this, it's insanity. So, put it this way, I think that there's a 5th stage this year because it added capacity into the event and it allows them to have more people around. So, and everything too, as much as they can.
Yeah.
So, things to see, every year there's other things to see besides bands at the event also. I'd say, make sure you get a ride on the Ferris wheel of death. It's a must do. They did take away the water slide this year.
Yeah.
But there are other like really kind of crummy carnival rides, like Take Your Life in Your Hands type of thing. Like
I think they have 2 rides.
Spins around and stuff. But this year they have like the Swamp Cooler guys. I think Icy Breeze is doing a tent also. For those that don't know, like they make like a cooler that converts the ice water, cycles it through to pump out like cold air. So they have a display booth. The one thing that I always enjoy doing every year, remotely plays an instrument or interested in an instrument or anything like that. Like they're all out there. It's like going to Sam Ash, which pretty much doesn't exist. I'm dating myself at this point. Or Guitar Center or somewhere, and being able to play all the expensive instruments and plugging it into all different types of amps and stuff like that. And there's other cool stuff in there as well. Revolver normally has a tent, and they normally do like artist signings at that tent at times too, but you need to get there like when the doors open for that day, because they only have limited amounts of like things like your poster or whatever that you prepay for, and then
and it's
you
not
do your
usually
meet
like
and
the
greet.
big bands. It's the smaller ones.
I think big is relative to everybody this year.
You know what I'm saying. Headliners.
To me, big would be Kerry King, even though Kerry King is not playing with Slayer at this event. Big would be Insane Clown Posse or Machine Head, and they're not necessarily headlining and stuff too, or Biohazard and things like that, right? Like, so there's plenty of things to see. It's definitely not a one-day event. Like if you bought a one-day ticket, you're really kind of shortchanging yourself because it's difficult to spend time.
Go through everything, all the vendors there, and
there's also like shirt vendors and things like that too, and stuff. And it's
busy.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
Busy.
It's really evolved over the years, right? Like food and beverage, I know we touched on before. There's food vendors there. It's expensive. There's drink vendors there. They're expensive. And one of the questions that keeps popping up on like every group is like, well, how much is a beer? Probably $15 to $18.
Yeah, $15 to $18. Most of the drinks, like beers, are on the lower side, and then the mixed drinks are about 18. So
the tiki bar drinks we do every year, and every year I'll tell you what, like they're the weakest ass tiki drinks that you'll ever get in your life. Like they're premix or junk tiki stuff.
And we spend $20 on them.
The better bet if you're buying mixed drinks is the Jack Daniel's tent. And you get a double, and by the time that you're into like these things, it's a significant amount of money for drinks. And the food, the quality's not that good unless you want to have like a Code Red type of event, and you're searching around for a way to relieve yourself.
The one good thing I did get the last couple of years are the tater tots. They have like different flavored, like sauces on top of the tater tots. So those are like,
I'm not crazy.
Those are like the basic food groups that you're gonna get.
So, Island Noodles. Everyone's gonna tell you like Island Noodles is great. Like Island Noodles is like a bunch of like lo mein noodles, with some broccoli and carrots and maybe a couple of chunks of chicken inside of it. Like island
It was
noodles sucks.
no, it was great.
Yeah.
Like when they first showed up in Jacksonville, they were really good, and then it's just been downhill since then.
Don't believe the hype, yo. It's not good. So it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
If you can, before you go to the event, I mean, and this will save you for a good time, like try to load up. There's plenty of places to eat on International Speedway Boulevard on the way there. We love Cantina Louie's Tacos right across the street.
Oh, yeah, they're really good.
And speaking of arriving, parking, I'm going to insert something towards the end because we did make our way out to Daytona, the racetrack on a couple days ago, and wanted to just like show where some of the stuff was for camping and where some of the stuff was for parking. And if you didn't pay for parking already, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to get parking on site, because they have parking on site for $50 a day.
Mm-hmm.
$50 a day sounds like a lot. It is a lot, trust me. But when I went to Atlanta Braves game last year, it was like $75 for parking, which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But if you're going to a race, anytime like, the 500 or 400, the parking is comparable, about $40, $50. And a lot of times you got to pay to park in like the Bass Pro Shop parking lot and then walk like a mile and a half over to the racetrack. One thing, I think I touch on this later in the other footage that I shot when we were around the track. Don't fall for the, hey, you could park in the mall parking lot or you could park in Best Buy or whatever else and think that you're not going to get towed. It is not worth risking getting a $200 tow or a boot on your car for parking somewhere illegally and making the trip over. If you're into gambling, cool, do it. But, coming back out and finding that you've towed, and we see people towed all the time at races, it ain't worth it. Things to bring. Sunscreen for sure, not aerosol-based sunscreen. The cream sunscreen you got to bring. Potentially bug spray. I know folks say that there isn't a problem with bugs because the track does a decent job at pest control. But I will say, like, I think it was the fall edition of Rockville 2 years ago that we had a lot of like no-see-ums, and there were bugs like everywhere.
Yeah.
And also seagulls and stuff too. So, like, but,
that was funny. Yeah.
Bring a water bottle, a refillable water bottle. You
Plastic.
can bring one in, cap sealed, with 20 ounce, I believe, or less. Or you can bring any size that you want. That's as long as it's plastic, like Mary said. You can't bring in metal. Don't bring in your big hydro flask that's metal, or Yeti or Tervis or anything like that. Like, they're not going to let you in. Vans Warped Tour, it may not be the coldest water in the world, but it's the freest water in the world. Bring a phone charger. One thing you should know, phone service at the track, they bring in extra cell phone towers. The racetrack put in extra cell phone towers, and Danny Wimmer brings in extra cell phone towers, but it is not enough. When you have 40,000, 50,000 people together in one congested area in that inner bowl, you're not going to get a signal. And what ends up happening, like, here's a good example. Like last year, I watched some of, I believe, Bullet for My Valentine with Mary and Connor and a bunch of other people. I peeled off for a minute to go watch some of somebody else's set. I couldn't find anybody for more than an hour and a half, and no cell phone service to be able to find anybody. So bring a charger. Your phone's going to drain really quick. And alternatively have, or in conjunction with the charger, have a meeting place set up for sure that you're going to meet people should any of your party get lost. You can't bring walkie-talkies in. That's one more of the things that comes up on the list all the time. Like, these are things, like, if you're going to bring anything that's on that prohibited list, either be prepared for it to go in the garbage or to make a walk back to your car.
Which you don't want to do.
Yeah. So expectation, again, a lot of walking. I think, we probably do like at least like 8 miles a day. Easy.
Yeah. Between 6 and 8 is like
Everyone
an
asks,
average if he's staying still for a bit.
Everyone asks like the distance between the two main stages, and I think it's like 0.7 miles back and forth. If you're factoring in that you got to walk around everybody and it's like a crowded New York City street, it'll take you a good like 15, 20 minutes to be able to get in between the stages.
And that's not even stopping at the other stages and going to past that stage.
It's going to be hot.
Oh,
Plan for the heat. It may be raining. Plan
Please
for the rain.
start drinking water now.
Yeah.
And just keep drinking because you need to be hydrated.
So walking, crowds, heat, rain. We talked about parking on site. Camping. If you are camping, Early camping entry is at like 9 a.m. I think.
9 to 12.
On Wednesday. It was worth it to pay for that last year. We got in line right as like they started taking people in. It still took us about an hour to get through.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talk about this later in the video when I show you where folks enter for that. The other thing with camping too, everyone asks like, can I bring more than 1 case of beer? Can I bring glass alcohol? Can I bring this? You can bring whatever you feel comfortable with sneaking in, as long as you feel comfortable with it being taken away.
Yeah.
So
when we got in early. When we got in there, the garbages were actually full by the time we got up to that entry.
You will find a pile of shit just everywhere, because after you're in that line for an hour or more and they tell you that you're not allowed to bring something in because they searched your vehicle and took it away, you're not going to want to get back in that line again. So people just chuck everything. So just home or whatever. But in any event, again, and my last thing here was FAQs. Like, pay attention to the FAQs, go to our website, look at the website, memorize them, live them, love them, and especially like the don't do's. There's so much debate online too about like, you know, crowd surfing and moshing and stuff like that. You're going to fucking metal show, dude. You're going to get kicked in the head. If you don't want to get kicked in the head, I'm not a proponent of crowd surfing. I'm 250 pounds, 6'2". That's the last thing you're going to want is me coming on top of you. But I'm not doing that. I'm standing aside. I'm an old bastard. So I stand aside just like you're supposed to do, and you don't get in the middle. Every so often, I'm going to get in the pit, and that's what happens. But just know, you know, that you know, when you're going to a show, this ain't like a Sunday relaxing, let me bring a lawn chair type of sit down and watch the bands. Like,
go off to the side.
Yeah, it's going to be really super cool. So. We're really psyched for this, and the weather can change at any given time in Florida, so don't get too hung up at looking at the weather forecast in advance. But right now in advance, it looks like there's a low chance of rain, like very low, and it looks very hot.
I always tell people to bring an extra pair of socks.
Yeah, bring comfortable shoes. That's you know what?
Yeah.
That's why we bring Mary around for these things. What you're wearing. Let me just put that out there. Like, because at the end of the day, you're going to be a gigantic sweaty mess. You're going to have white stains throughout your shirt. You're going to look like a disaster. We're all going to be in the same boat together, and you're going to look like shit. You're going to feel like shit, but you're going to have your ass rocked off.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that's just the way it is. Worrying about, like, makeup and this and that. Like, or I'm going to bring my brand new shoes, and should I wear, like, you know, brand new, like, on cloud shoes or whatever else. Like, don't wear new shoes. Your shoes are going to get fucked. So bring shoes that are comfortable, but you're willing to sacrifice them to the Rockville gods.
Whenever I get new sneakers, my other sneakers go into a rack, and I kind of keep them aside for Rockville. And I usually bring like 3 pairs just because of that. Because one day it might get soaking wet. One day it might just get ruined from, you know, whatever. But I always have 3 pairs with me at all times.
Yeah, so you might even want to bring like a cooling towel with you.
Yes.
It's a good idea, or sweat towel or something
towel.
like that, you know, and try to just take it easy. They're going to open up the grandstands again this year for anybody that needs to cool down too and get out of the shade, because there ain't a lot of places to get shade. There's like 2 small shade tents, and there's a Jack Daniels tent. And
I think they realized that over the last couple of years that they need space to put people under the
sunblock. Sunblock is key. So, in any event,
hats if you have.
Yeah, for sure, hat, big floppy hat.
I don't wear hats too often, so.
big floppy hats.
And put sunblock on your part,
yeah.
girls.
So. All right, so we're going to get out of here for now because everyone's looking at us. But here's some footage that we shot the other day while we were up and around the track to give you an idea of where everything is located. All right, so this is a little rudimentary, but essentially the racetrack is right there. Cracker Barrel's here. Behind Cracker Barrel is the purple parking lot over by Turn 1. For purple camping, whatever we want to call it this time. Now, if you are camping, and only if you're camping, you get a camping wristband. You can exit and re-enter the campgrounds as well as the event. This is what is available to you if you are leaving and looking for supplies or breakfast or anything. You have a Chick-fil-A over there. Most importantly, there's a Target here. You could probably get ice and things like that, and Band-Aids and whatever, beer. And then when you go along International Speedway, you do have restaurants up and down, and other places that you can visit. Just keep in mind that when you're walking from camping even to Cracker Barrel, it's probably a good half a mile to be able to get there. And again, this way, if you swing this way, B-Dubs is not too far away, Arby's, there is a K1 go-kart racing place inside that shopping center also. There's a Five Guys across the street there. Funny enough, inside Cracker Barrel, it's like they're preparing for Rockville here or for the races, because you have ponchos and adult emergency kits here with some like chapstick and earplugs and sunscreen. And they also have clear plastic bags out here too. So if you want to talk about parking for Rockville, the main parking lots, this is turn 1. One of the entrances for Rockville will be right over that way. Although prepaid parking sold out, they should have day of parking available to a limited extent. Yes, there are businesses across the street like this Best Buy and One Daytona, etc. And a lot of folks are going to say, you can just park over there and leave your car. But I've been here for races and watched them tow cars, and getting your car back is going to be a couple $100 versus paying $40 or $50 to just park to begin with. That's your risk and your gamble to take. By the way, if you do want to park across the street, or if they're taking money to park across the street, because sometimes these local businesses do, keep in mind it's still going to be about a mile walking at least to get into Welcome to Rockville. There's 2 entry points. One thing to point out, this is the turn 4 entrance and exit. If you are camping, you'll be camping right inside there, and you can exit outside of this tunnel. If you need ice, you probably would go into that Sunoco station to get ice. It's a lot cheaper there than getting it at the campground store. If you're looking for food, you have Bahama Breeze, you have IHOP, Olive Garden, and over here there's a breakfast place, First Watch, as well as Jersey Mike's and some other places. And if you need supplies, there is a Bass Pro Shop right over that way. It is about a half a mile away from the point of where I'm standing out here on the street. If you want to get around within the campgrounds or anywhere before you are actually getting to 1792 International Speedway Boulevard over here, there are golf carts that will take you around to various places within the campground itself, not outside on the street. So within the campground itself and all the way to the street. They work off of tips. So you're either going to need to bring cash or Venmo, I think some of them take, and things like that, where you can...
Cash App, all that stuff.
Yeah, but make no mistake about it, everything is a bit of a walk, especially when you are walking for miles during the day between the different stages. But again, to emphasize, if you're going to get ice, whether you're getting ice at Target or you're getting ice at Sunoco, it is considerably cheaper. Last year, I think we paid for like a 10-pound bag inside something like $16 for ice, which is a highway robbery. So definitely not worth it. It's worth it to bring a wagon with you, foldable wagon if you're camping, and go out, make your ice run in the morning, get your ice, and bring it back. Last thing about these campsites, I'm going to take you around the back of Daytona International. That's where the check-in is for your camping. Also, by the Turn 4 camping entrance, they'll have Turn 4 camping parking, extended parking if you paid for that, where you could pay there's like $120 or so to be able to park outside the track for all 4 days and leave your car. So if you were camping only, this is only for campers, and you want to come in and out, you could do so and use your vehicle. And outside of Turn 4, this is the Turn 4 parking, obviously. This is another one of the parking lots that I believe you could prepay for or pay day of. Keep in mind that even though you have paid for parking in advance, or if you're looking to buy parking same day, there's going to be a hell of a lot of people here this year, probably more so than they have parking spaces for. So get here early, or potentially find that there's no parking on site. And now coming around side, on one side of the block, you have the airport. On this side, you have Gate 70. Gate 70 is where you enter for your security screening and checking in for camping. And if you bought the VIP parking, I believe you still go in through this area and down and around to be able to get towards the back, the super stretch of the raceway. Ducking into the cell phone lot here at the raceway, which is across the street from the airport. Just to give you an idea, when you're checking in for camping, you'll be following down this road to Gate 70. Gate 70, there will be security. They will go through your items. They can go through just to touch back on the fact of things that are allowed, things that are not allowed. There's different things that are allowed to go into the music festival that, or there's different things that are allowed to go in the campsites that are not allowed in the festival. But for the campsites, when you are paying for camping, they will give you a list of everything you're not allowed to bring, like metal spikes, glass items, knives, things like that. Can you hide things? Potentially, sure. Can you get caught? Potentially, sure.
And they throw it out.
Anything that you are bringing in that you're not allowed to bring in, and this also goes for, like, they tell you can bring in like 1 case of beer per person of when they're going through your things, and you find the additional 8 cases that they're keeping them. Either that or you're getting back off the line and getting back in, and that line can take hours.
Yep.
There's a reason why they sell early camping, early check-in for camping, and that's because people will line up hours before the event and to go through security. It takes a long time to get through that line. Last year we got here when gates opened, essentially, and we had early check-in, and it still took us about an hour and change or so to get through the point of security.
And then also there was a delay because
yeah, so if the weather, if there's a
area.
weather delay, like lightning in the area, they take all of the workers that are performing the security tests off of the track, and then everyone's just at a standstill for however long that takes. And it's usually, even if there's just lightning, like I think it's like 8 or 10 miles away or whatever, and anybody's coming back out to work. So you could be sitting there.
2 hours minimum.
Yeah. People were waiting, throughout the night to be able to get in if you didn't do the early check-in piece. All right, welcome back. We're getting out of here. We'll be there all 4 days, including the camp party or the camp concert with the weakest lineup that, of all time. I guess you don't look a gift horse in the mouth and say at least it's free, but
we'll be there.
Scab Saliva, Scab Hinder, and some other bands, and I'm sure we'll be moseying around, but we'll be around every day, at least for part of it. I don't know how you'll find us because there's so many people, but everybody always seems to do that anyway. But we're going to get out of here. Thanks a lot for coming along. Thank you very much for all of your likes, comments, and subscriptions. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Have a great night. We'll see you guys.